Well, here it is, the Honda CBR250R MC19, product of the late 80s. Never actually brought mass-produced to America, but this one happened to find its way over the pond, and I picked it up just the other day from Mason George Motorcycles. I'll be taking some time going over the parts that I need to get, restoring it, making videos about the restoration process, just so future MC19, MC22 owners have an idea of what it's going to look like, considering this bike is, I believe, over 30 years old, and this one was last registered 18 years ago, so it's presumably been non-operational, or at least not regularly so, for long enough to vote. I want to talk today about just the first impressions, first steps, what I saw right off the bat that I need to get working on. And then in future videos, I'll just make it into a mini-series of every little piece I work on. And if I take it into Mason, he'll do some videos of what he did to it. And collectively, we'll just have a series on how to put this old Japanese bike back together and have it running like a new bike from 1989. The first things, nothing's really going to get done today. It's just going to be a walk-around overview. If you haven't already seen it, that shift leather doesn't exist anymore, so that's going to need to get replaced. I already have that on order. I got it from AliExpress, Chinese place. Should be here, a slow boat from China, probably about a month or two. This right here is also pretty bent and needs to get either replaced or fixed. I talked with Mason about it, and he said he's fairly confident they can just rebuild it since both the ends are still in good condition. So I'm thinking that's what I'll do for that route. I don't really want to try and find some very specific sized and all that piece again. This was really easy. It was like $15. They're still making it. I'm sure it's cheap Chinese aluminum, but I'll take it. If it breaks, it breaks. If I low-side it, I'm sure it's going to break off again. If this bike has been low-sided more than a few times. I actually noticed right here there's a little hole in the, what is it called? The cooling system, so I'm going to need to get the rubber replaced right here. Supposedly under this, it's two separate pieces. So what I'm going to do is I found all the OEM schematics. I'm going to try and just replace this one. If I have to, I'll replace the whole setup. But this one looks like it's not actually leaking anything. Naturally, rubber from 30 years ago is just not what it was once upon a time. So all the rubber on this bike is going to have to get replaced. Maybe not the cable for the clutch, but definitely the brakes. If you see here, this is not going anywhere. It's not doing anything. So I'm going to need to get the master cylinder for the front and rear of the bike completely, just the insides of it reworked, redone, built up again. Not too bad. I already have those parts on order, so they should be here in a couple weeks, and that'll probably be the first actual build video I make. I'm contemplating replacing the levers, just because they're a little worn down from all the low siding it's taken, but at the same time, it's character, if nothing else. It shows that this bike has been through quite a bit, and I'm a little cheap to replace it. But we'll see. If I don't have to, I probably won't. Now, as for the rubber here, it looks pretty good. I just wouldn't chance my life with 30-year-old rubber. So I'm probably going to get steel-braided cables, if that's reasonable. I found some on a site that sells new and aftermarket parts for this bike, and they can sell them as low as $50. So if $50 braided, steel-braided cables are good, I'll go with those. Otherwise, it's $25 for OEM replacements. Really not a bad deal. The rear brake is shot. I tried putting my foot on this thing, and it just is not moving. So, unsurprisingly, this is going to have to get rebuilt as well. The stock exhaust is quite low-sided, but I don't think that's impacted anything on the inside of it. So I'm probably just going to leave it as is. As you can tell, unless it's too dark, this is welded on, so I can't just get a slip-on exhaust for it. I would have to go through someone who's not myself and knows how to weld and get a new pipe and have them cut this off and re-weld something new on it. Not particularly a process I'm looking forward to doing, so I'm probably just not going to do that. But other work that needs to be done. Fairings, obviously, this is not typical of a sport bike. This is usually covered. You can probably see right here it was cut. Presumably he low-sided it so many times he just decided to cut the sides off to make it look less ugly, and I kind of regret. Well, I'm sad that he did that because I would have loved to see the OEM fairings, but that was 18 years ago. I didn't quite have a say at that time. I was still in middle school, if I'm not mistaken. Tires, old as it gets. I wouldn't ride on these things at 5 miles an hour, let alone anything faster than that, what I plan on doing with this bike. So I'm going to get these replaced, probably one of the later things I'll do, just not super urgent. The brake rotors actually look really clean. The back ones have a little bit of rust. It's not going to show up well in the video, so you'll just have to take my word for it. I'm confident I can get that rust off, and they don't look at all warped or worn down or anything. The pads inside the calipers, I'm sure are going to need to get replaced again, so I'll do that, not a problem. Back to the whole, it got low-sided a couple times. This is kind of faded away and not really going to work, so I'm going to have to order a new one of those. Luckily, it looks like on the other side, the screw still works, so I can still thread something in there, like an OEM mirror, because, if you can see these handlebars, you can tell bar end mirrors, aside from looking ugly, wouldn't be very useful considering how curved in they are, how narrow the handlebars are. At some point, maybe in the very end, just to fix the cosmetic side of things, I want to try and get rid of this rust right here. It's not a super big deal, but I'd rather it not contaminate the entire tank, because a new tank is about $110 from what I saw. Plus, you'd have to find one that, for me, I want black fairings, or dark fairings, because I have a dark tank. And the fairings, or the tanks I saw, were all red, white, and blue fairings. So I don't want to have to get black fairings, black tank, this thing rust over, and then a new red, white, and blue tank. It's just better to fix the problem early. Grips, you can't quite see it very well, but it's falling apart here a little bit, just because of how old this rubber is. Talking about replacing all the rubber on it. So, easy peasy, lemon squeezy, it's a cosmetic thing, and I'll take care of it at the end, but I would love to get some new kind of vintage-looking grips, sort of like what it has. Chain and sprockets, something that people, it's a common, you gotta replace them on an old bike. They're looking good, as far as the sprocket goes, but I think just because the chain is quite rusted, I'm gonna have to replace the chain, may as well replace the sprockets too, because it's one of those things. You should do it all at once, otherwise it's going to wear on itself, and a new chain on old sprockets is just going to destroy the chain. License plate. I took out the license plate. It said, what was it, Heaven Angel? May or may not have actually been for this bike. It's entirely possible that someone just took it off another motorcycle and pretended this was street legal. But I'm going to assume this was registered in California at one point, and I'm going to try and get it re-registered in California. If that doesn't work, I'll find some other option, but yeah, there's no point in having a fake plate from registration from 2002 that is not my name on it, on this bike. That would not be a good situation if I got pulled over and they said, hey, are you this person who's 40-something years old? So I took it off. That'll be one of the last things I do, is just get it registered and street legal again. Seat. I looked up and down and all around the internet, and I could not for the life of me find a CBR250 seat. I found a CBR400 1980s seat. It was not a used one. I can't really find a whole lot of used seats to begin with. It was a new made in China one. It's $25. I figured as long as it kind of fits, as long as it gets under this metal piece, which connects to the lock, that's all I really care about. If it can't do that, it'll look less crappy than it does right now. Not that I ever plan on having someone sit on it, so not too concerned about the comfort experience or the longevity of it. This seat also may or may not be original. The lines here don't quite match up with the line of the seat. However, there might be some more missing plastic considering it's been low-sided, it's been cracked, the fairings have been cut. So it's possible when I get new fairings for it, it'll all fit together better. Other than that, if anyone has any questions for me about the bike, I'll happily go over any specs that I found or talk about what specifically I want to do first, or if you're just wondering what it sounds like, I'll leave a link to Mason's video. He got the engine running the other day. I think that's about it. Just one last look at that dash. Yes, it really does start redlining at 18,000 RPM. And I can't wait to hear what that sounds like on my way to Alice's. I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Hey guys, I realized there were a couple more things I wanted to talk about after I walked away from the motorcycle, and I didn't want to wait for a whole nother video to discuss it. So I want to talk about where the bike came from and what the future direction is for the bike, other than the things I already talked about. So the bike came to me, from a local mechanic, Mason George Motorcycles. He's in Felton, California. It's about 5 miles away from where I am. And he got it from this guy's barn that has tons of Honda motorbikes. And I'll actually leave a link to the video where he found it, so you guys have an idea of where it came from. And then what I actually want to do for the next video is talk about the rust that's in the gas tank, as well as how to remove it. There's a special solution of super high-tech ingredients known as water, vinegar, and baking soda that I'm going to put together inside the gas tank and just leave it there for a few days and get the rust out. So I'll make a video about that once it stops raining over here, and just how it turns out and how the process was, how long it took, given that there's not too much rust as far as I could see. And just have that be kind of the official start of the restoration and rebuilding this motorcycle. My purpose for this video series is just going to be kind of a one-off mini-series on how to restore an old Honda bike that was never built mass-produced for California or the US. And hopefully other Honda MC19, MC22 owners can learn about what the restoration process for this bike specifically looks like. And at the end of the road, how to get it registered in the US, because supposedly it was registered before. I'm in California, so I'll be referring to specifically what the registration requirements are for here. But considering we have the strictest registration in the entire US, it should be the same, if not easier, process for other states. And even if you don't own a Honda MC19, MC22, or maybe you do, but you don't live in the US, hopefully this video could still be informational. And if absolutely nothing else, if you've never restored a bike yourself, I've never restored a bike myself, I think it'll be really cool to watch and very informative. So if I end up dropping $5,000 in this, only to find out it doesn't run and the engine's dead, that could be a learning opportunity for other YouTubers out there, other motorcycle enthusiasts such as myself. And worst comes to worst, it's a precautionary tale for you guys and a learning experience for me. I'll catch you all in the next one, and hopefully it won't rain too long so I can get that gas tank off.